Welcome to the Art Center. We are celebrating wearable art because sadly, the last 2 years due to COVID, we have not been able to present wearable art. But our curator and assistant curator are bringing us phenomenal designers. So welcome to our original location for our first wearable art.
I really missed creating wearable art because last year we had no wearable art show, so it was really depressing. But this year we got to kind of do it on a smaller scale. I came into the idea with COVID having a moment to let Mother Nature just breathe. So I started with a natural headpiece showing leaves and flowers and mushrooms and all of the things that we could kind of slow down and take notice with and spend time out in nature. I wanted to kind of experiment and create a sewn headpiece elements. So I sewed the mushrooms on the headpiece and then I added other natural elements around it. I actually was a little rusty creating it. I had to kind of think about what I wanted to create and how I wanted to sculpturally build it again, and it wasn't easy, but I figured it out.
I am exhibiting some of my Bachelor of Fine Arts projects that I have completed at SCAD. I am currently a third year at the SCAD Atlanta campus. I am majoring in fashion design with a minor in fashion journalism. The rebirthday suit is just kind of expressing my inner fashion designer, and I drew inspiration from the Surrealist movement as well as the Impressionist movement. Art history is a big focus of mine, and that's where most of my inspiration comes from. It's really about empowering women. So that's a big part of my work as well. I am a women's wear designer, so whenever I'm creating a garment, I always have that in mind. The process is always a challenge, but it's a good challenge, and it always leaves you feeling like a great artist.
This whole outfit, it tells a history or a story. I designed this rebirth outfit, and I started in the year 2020, where we felt like we were locked in and we couldn't get out. So that's how I designed the skirt. We couldn't get out because we were locked in. Then I progressed up to the sunflower here. Now the green represents the stem of the sunflower, her bustier. And from there we progressed up to a new day, a new sunrise, and that's 2021. The materials I used was quite a few different items. I used Tyvek, and I use it in a lot of my designs. Tyvek is that miracle paper that went to the moon. It doesn't tear, so you can distress it under heat. I made the silhouette out of Tyvek. I distressed it and then I painted it. Her bustier is also Tyvek. It was cut in strips, and I distressed it so it looks like lace. I've made a lot of wearable art in the past, and the themes for the different wearable arts were set in stone. You knew what to do. You know, if you do something nautical, you make something nautical. Well, I didn't have anything to follow with rebirth because there's no history of rebirth. So I had to put a lot of thought into it. So I thought of making it show the history of it. It took me a lot more time designing than actually making it.
Work that I made for the show was intended to be a wearable sculpture. I've been making wearable sculptures since 2004. For me, at that time, making wearable sculptures was a way to showcase the work without having a place to exhibit it. In the true guerrilla art fashion, I could make this sculpture, put it on myself or a friend or someone else, and we could literally just go to whatever event was happening and we could then, just attack. At the beginning, that was the whole point, was just to surprise people with something so unexpected and outrageous that their mind would be catalyzed with this event. The concept of rebirth has always been interesting to me, but also it's an opportunity to really celebrate that human form. My intent was to really create something that was empowering for the person who was going to wear it so that she might feel elevated. That was the intent.
Julian has been designing outfits for the WOW show, World of Wearable Art in New Zealand. They had a section for Elizabethan. Julian decided that we were going to design a formal dress, Elizabethan dress.
They had high collars, so I came up with the idea of using the butterfly, the monarch butterfly, for the high collar. Cindy's always helped me with my designs, but she spent more time on this and had more input. She painted the collar, the monarch.
Well, this experience is very different from what I'm used to, which is the big, huge events every August. But I am so grateful that the Dunedin Fine Art Center has been able to adapt to our new normal and still celebrate art and wearable art. So this piece is called Hope, and the rebirth suit, which is a velvet lounge one piece, is embellished with modified makeup sponges, and then I use pom-poms from Christmas ornaments, and those are indicative of this virus cell, which is the prongs of the coronavirus. And then her face is surrounded by yellow felt, with continuing with the pom-poms and a disassembled floral arrangement, and it's a sunflower, which signifies hope, and embellished by the collar, which is yellow feathers, and an old Halloween costume made of pleather. So I do like to recycle and reuse.
My contribution to Rebirth is my 9-part makeup portrait series, Insectoid. Each piece is inspired by a different insect. Some of them my favorite insects, some of them scary insects that I don't care for, but it's important to explore yourself even if it's a little scary. But I've just always been interested in bugs, insects, specifically beetles. There's so many types of beetles. I love looking at them. I would have a pet beetle if I had the time for something like that. I've always just been inspired by that eccentric visual behavior, if that makes sense.
I'm representing today one of the pieces called Rebirth. Her name is Valentina, and the eye. This character, Valentina, was created by me and my partner Amir. We were thinking about sea anemone that also represent the female organ, and the character that lives inside that sea anemone can change constantly, and this time it was eye with the long fingers. Represents basically seeing outside, being born with seeing outside. And it is a little bit daring and out there. So yeah, I let you take away from it what you like.
The wearable art, the rebirth, for me, what that represents during the pandemic and after the pandemic, my rebirth was wealth. The pandemic brought me richness in relationships, riches in work-life balance, and riches in mind, body, and soul. The pandemic taught me to take a pause, to be conscious and present, and listen to my body and what it is that I really want out of my life.
The women that came to pose were all with the same stories. They said, like, I didn't pose before, I don't like my body, I want to pose. Women reacted to the mass media use of their body, and there was a rejection to that. So it was like a rejection to Photoshop and all that. And so the idea was to have the viewer go confronted by those nudes and then decide there if they had the sacred view of the body or just the profane, sexualized view of the body. The idea of the wings, which is obviously connected to angels, and then the use of gold leaf, which is also like this Byzantine sacred image. They were played up in a way that even though they were perceived sacred, there would be a backdrop for selfies. And so in a way, that's the profane aspect of it. And that's also a commentary on selfie kind of craze that we're witnessing with social media.
I put two of my paintings. One is icon, another is mudra. Mudra is mainly an Indian classical dance called Bharatanatyam. So there is 59 mudras of hand in the dance they use. So every movement of the hand, there's a meaning of it. And another one is icon. So icon means there is all the ladies' undergarments. All the garments are so individual design and a lot of artifacts. And artisan, they put their artistic method, how this is made unique.
My piece is called Emerging. When I thought of the phrase rebirth, it made me think of spring and the first blades of grass and flowers emerging from the winter snow. And just like the winter, we've been through sort of a hibernation phase. And when the vaccine rolled out, I felt like we were starting to see little signs of life returning. I used some vintage fabrics that I found at their store that I thought could translate that. One was kind of a very white pattern that had a texture on it that I liked, and then one was a very vibrant floral pattern. The white was the holding pattern we've been in, and then I put patches of the bright, vibrant fabric all over it to kind of just signify the different places that perhaps life was sprouting up and coming back to normal.
This is Khepri, an Egyptian goddess of the sun to represent renewal and rebirth.
So we use materials like political signs, recycled materials, things that we found.
I created the one called Shangri-La, and it's basically the one where you look through sort of a hedge or a bushel. I don't know, I'll leave it up to the viewer, and then you get to see what seems to be like a big bonfire jam with a bunch of weird creatures and monsters, and they're all dancing around. The general philosophy of my piece is to become the creature that you are instead of trying to manipulate yourself to be something else.
I had thought about different things, about flowers in the spring and baby animals coming in the spring, and then I thought about the mystical phoenix rising from the ashes. I thought that would be the best one to do, because no matter how bad things got, he would come back being rebirthed, wiser, stronger, and able to face the future. I'd really like to go back to the runway, but I'm so glad that they had something to take its place. It's been a long time, because last year we didn't have anything. So this helped a little bit.
There is a social issue that goes along with my works. I have kind of made these to address some of the issues revolving just women in general. So all throughout history, a lot of art that's been created, whether it's been drawings, paintings, sculptures, a lot of it's been based on the male gaze.
We walked around and looked at the outfits and were very impressed. And I think this area has some very good designers.
It's a different feeling to having a piece on a monitor or on a screen than to having an actual physical object that contains all this, the story of your work and every stroke, and it's got like the bumps of the paint, and it's it's hardy, and it's nice to be able to show some of that out in the real world.
I'm grateful to be here, and I'm happy that there was still an opportunity to meet the other artists. All the pieces are so great. Well, I'm excited to go take pictures with this balloon one out here. I don't know if you saw that one yet.
Unfortunately, we don't have the production of the catwalk this year, which is my favorite part. But the outfits that came out this year, for the people that did participate, they look really great.
It meant a lot to do something, even though it was a little scary, to kind of reestablish that we will be back to normal. We will be able to do the things we love again. It just maybe not quite yet, but we're working there. We're getting towards it, and it was just really exciting to be able to put something together and just kind of be myself again.
A lot of the items here are just gorgeous. They're absolutely very creative. Again, we don't have a lot of history to go by with rebirth because it's not been done before. So all of the artists have created way beyond their expectations. It's all magnificent. It's a great show.
I am very excited that wearable art didn't go away. There have been people that have said that it was, the latest fad, but it has continued throughout the years thanks to the Dunedin Fine Art Center. And it is a truly unique art form. I think it's a living, breathing art form, and I'm enjoying the fact that it continues to grow. And with the support of the Dunedin Fine Art Center, it is part of our community now.
How much we have to wait before we will have again, a show in which there are thousands of people witnessing, enjoying and talking and without face covering and social distancing. That would be interesting to know as soon as possible, I hope. But so I love the idea. Hopefully we're going to have a rebirth post-Delta variant. That'll be fun.
I love what the Dunedin Fine Art Center does with wearable art, and actually just with all art together. It was very rewarding for me. A lot of hours put into it, but very rewarding.
So now to have these pieces not only done, but in a bunch of different exhibitions, including yours, it's really great. It validates that like what I wanted to do, what I was able to do, people appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm so impressed by the talent in this area. Just walking through that show and seeing the designs that these artists have done is just, to me, is just amazing.
I'm so excited to participate in this show.
We're very happy to be a part of this, that we can still use our creativity to show what we really love to do and our love for the Dunedin Fine Art Center. So we're super happy to still be able to create and motivate and show our art.
I think just like the phoenix rising from the ashes, I think we're going to come out of this. No matter how bad it gets, how low everything looks, I think we're going to come out stronger and wiser in the end.